Hello everyone. We had started Unit 3rd, Inorganic Chemistry, Modern Theories of Coordination Compound, Part B. Uh, we have already completed valence bond theory. Today we will start with crystal field theory, CFT. Introduction to crystal field theory. Crystal field theory was proposed by physicist H. Bethe in 1929, and he explained the nature of bonding in ionic crystals. Later, this theory was modified by J. H. Van Vleck in 1932 to account for the magnetic properties of transition metal ions and their complexes. Due to this modification made by Van Vleck, it was possible to study the magnetic properties of transition metal ions and their complexes. The symmetrical field caused by the ligands around the metal in the complex is similar to the electric field around ions in ionic crystals. In ionic crystal, a field is created around an ion called as electric field. Similarly, when ligand approaches the metal, a symmetrical field is created, and both of these fields created are very similar in nature. Hence, the name of this theory came out to be the crystal field theory. Assumptions of crystal field theory. The transition metal, which forms the central cation, is surrounded by ligands with lone pair of electrons. First of all, what is cation? Cation is an atom having positive charge on it, while anion is an atom having negative charge on it. The transition metal, most of the time, all the metals are positively charged. Hence, the transition metal which forms the central cation. Transition metal here forms the central cation and is placed in the center. And it is surrounded by the ligands. Ligands can be anionic or neutral. They may have negative charge on them or they may be neutral. The ligands which are either ionic, that is having charge, for example F minus, Cl minus and Cn minus, or molecular, that is neutral, NH3, H2O, etc., act as point charges or point dipoles. In crystal field theory, the ligands act as point charges or point dipoles. They are considered to be point having charge, hence called as point charges or point dipoles. The attraction between central ion and ligands is purely electrostatic. That is, the bond between metal ion and ligand is 100% ionic. What does electrostatic attraction means? The attraction between two opposite charges is called electrostatic attraction. Here the central ion is positively charged metal and the ligands are negatively charged. Hence there will be attraction between these two, and the attraction is called as electrostatic attraction, while the bond formed between these two is called as ionic bond. Hence this is 100% ionic bond. The interaction between the central metal and ligands in the complex is of two types. There will be two types of interaction take place between the central metal and ligand. First, it will be attractive forces. Attractive force arises due to the metal cation and anionic ligand. In our basic 11th-12th classes, we have learned that opposite attracts. Here, opposite charges are attracting to each other. Because metal is positively charged and ligand is negatively charged, there will be attraction between these two opposite charge atoms. Therefore, and second interaction, it will be repulsive forces. These repulsive forces arises between the metal d electrons and ligand electrons. All the electrons are negatively charged. We know it very well, right? So there will be repulsion between the negative and negative. Same repels. Here similar charges will repel each other. Metal d electrons are also negatively charged and ligand electrons are also negatively charged. Negative repulsion will take place. These repulsive forces destroys the degeneracy of d orbitals and split them into two or more sets having different energies. All the 5d orbitals are having same energy will be this degeneracy of d orbital. What does degeneracy means? That all the 5d orbitals are having same energy. It will be disturbed due to the repulsive force between the metal d electron and ligand electron. Let me show you. Here, all the 5d orbital dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square minus y square and dz square, all the 5d orbital of free ion, that is the ion which is not approached by any ligand, are degenerate, that is having same energy. This energy will be splitted into two or more sets. Here it is splitted into two sets, and this happens due to ligands. This splitting is called as crystal field splitting and is denoted by 10 dq or delta. The number of ligands and their arrangement around the central metal ion will determine the crystal field splitting. How much splitting between these two sets will take place is determined by the number of ligand and the arrangement of the ligand around central metal. That is, whether the number of ligand is 6 or 4 and the arrangement will be tetrahedral or octahedral. These properties of the complex will determine the crystal field splitting. Different crystal fields have different effects on relative energies of the 5d orbitals. The difference in energy between the two sets of d orbital, these are the two sets, here Eg and here T2g. The difference between their energy will be different as the ligands or central metal atom will change. The arrangement of ligands around the central metal is such that the repulsion between them is minimum. The ligands in a complex are arranged around the metal atom in such a way that there will be minimum repulsion between them. The electrons of the metal ion are repelled by the negative field of ligand, and therefore the metal electron will occupy those d orbitals which have their lobes farthest from the direction of ligands. As we have seen that there will be repulsion between the ligand electrons and the metal ion electrons. Hence, the electrons in the metal d orbital will be placed in such a way that they will face less amount of repulsion from the ligand electron, that is farthest from the direction of ligands. The electrons in the complex get added into the splitted d orbital according to the above principle, Hund's rule and Pauli's exclusion principle. We have learned all this principle used to fill the electron while writing electronic configuration of any atom. In the same way, here also we will fill the electrons for the complex. The stability of the complex can be quantitatively determined from the magnitude of crystal field stabilization energy. The value of crystal field stabilization energy will help us to determine whether the complex is stable or unstable. Higher the value of crystal field stabilization energy, more the stability of complex. The electronic configuration of metal ions and hence the magnetic properties of complexes can be easily understood from the d orbital splitting in the ligand field. Here in crystal field theory, the d orbital splitting helps us to explain the electronic configuration of metal ions and the magnetic properties of the complexes. The spectral properties of complexes are due to dd transition of electrons in the splitted d orbital. Here the spectral properties means the color of any complexes occurs due to d-d transition of electrons in splitted d orbital. When any electron in this in this set of orbital will jump from this level to this level, there will be this is called as transition of electron. Transition of electron from one d level to another d level, and hence called dd transition. Due to this dd transition, complex is colored. Complex shows color due to dd transition, and in that way we can determine color from using crystal field theory. Degeneracy of d orbitals. To start with, we will start here from the shapes of d orbitals. There are 5 d orbitals, namely dxy, dyz, dxz, dx square minus y square, and dz square. All these 5d orbitals are divided into two sets or two groups. First is T2g set and second is EG set. In T2g set, this includes dxy, dyz and dxz orbitals. These are double dumbbell shaped and have their lobes in between the Cartesian axes. X, Y, Z are the Cartesian axis and double dumbbell shape. Here this shape is called as dumbbell shape, and here two dumbbells are present, hence it is called as double dumbbell shape. And all the lobes of this orbital lies between the Cartesian axis. For dxy, the lobe lies between x and y axis. Here for dxz orbital, the lobe lies between x and z axis. While for dyz orbital, the lobe lies between y and z axis. And hence, due to these orbital doesn't lie along the axis, that is, these orbitals are not along the x-axis or in y-axis or z-axis, these orbitals are called as non-axial orbital, since they lie between the Cartesian axis and not on the Cartesian axis. They are called as non-axial orbital, dxy, dxz and dyz. Next set is EG set. It includes 2d orbitals, namely dx square minus y square and dz square. These d orbitals have their lobes along the Cartesian axis and hence are called as axial orbitals. This is dx square minus y square. Look at this. This dumbbell shape lies along the axis, along y-axis, and this lies along z-axis. Hence these orbitals are called as axial orbitals. Dx square minus y square, and here it is a dz square orbital. Dz square orbital, the dumbbell shape lies along the z-axis, and there is a donut shaped ring around the z around this dumbbell shape lobe, which is in a x and y plane. This donut shape is highly dense with electrons. The electron density is very high in this donut shaped ring, and hence it is called dz square, since this lobe lies along z axis. Here also the lobe lies along the axis and not in between the axis, therefore it is also an axial orbital. The atomic orbitals are designated with symmetry symbols as symmetry. What does symmetry symbol mean as per group theory? T symbol means that the orbital is there is a threefold degeneracy, or it is triply degenerate. That is, there are 3 orbitals which are equivalent in energy. What does E symbol means is the twofold degeneracy or doubly degenerate. That is, two orbitals having similar energy, equivalent energy or similar energy. Symmetry symbol G means Gered. What does Gered means? G is mentioned whenever there is a center of inversion present. Center of inversion. Consider a point, center point, from which if we go in opposite direction we will meet a same charge. Let us consider this as a center of symmetry. When we come this side, we will get positive charge, and when we go in the opposite direction we will again get positive charge, which means it has a center of inversion present. And if the center of inversion is present, it is mentioned with it is denoted with a G symbol here, P2G. Since all of these dxy, dxz and dyz orbitals are having center of inversion. Similarly, EG set, these are also having center of inversion. Let us consider this center. When we go in this direction, there is a positive charge, and when we go in the opposite direction, again we get a positive charge. Hence, center of inversion is present here and mentioned with G. EG set. Applications of CFT to octahedral complexes. Consider an octahedral complex ML6. ML6, what does it denote here? M is for metal while L is for ligands, and 6 means 6 ligands, ML6. In the octahedral complex, the metal ion is at the center of octahedron and the 6 ligands are at 6 corners as shown in the figure. The metal is present in the center and it is surrounded by ligands at the 6 corners of octahedron. Here all these are ligands occupying the 6 corners of an octahedron. The 6 ligands in octahedral field reach the central metal ion along the axis x, y, z, minus x, minus y and minus z. All these 6 ligand lies along the 3-axis plus y plus x plus y plus z and minus x minus y and minus z. In the isolated metal ion, all the 5d orbitals are degenerated. When the metal is not approached by any ligand, when the metal is in a free ion form, it is having all the 5d orbitals are degenerate. But in octahedral field, the degeneracy of d orbital splits. But as soon as the ligands approach the metal ion, the degeneracy of d orbital is disturbed and it gets split into 2 sets. This splitting takes place in 2 steps. Step 1. In the hypothetical spherical symmetrical ligand field, all the d orbital remain degenerated, but their energy increases due to repulsion between metal d electron and ligand electron. Hypothetical spherical symmetrical ligand field. Hypothetical, it does mean that it is an imaginary field. Let us consider that all the ligands are yes, all the orbitals of metal, all the metal d orbitals are approached by ligand equivalently, which is just an imaginary concept. Then at this time, all the d orbital, all the degenerate d orbital raises in energy due to the repulsion between metal d electron and ligand electron. Let me show this. All these 5d orbital will remain degenerate, but their energy will be increased due to they are spherically approached by the ligand. That is, they are all equivalently approached by the ligand field. Hence mentioned by spherical field. Hence the degeneracy is not disturbed, but their energy will be increased because of the repulsion between the metal ion electron and the ligand electrons. Further, in second step, what happens? The octahedral field, in the octahedral field, the Eg orbitals, that is dx square minus y square and dz square, which are having their lobes along the axis, suffer greater repulsion from the ligands. We have seen that these are axial orbital, that is their lobe lies along the axis. Here also this lobe lies along the z-axis. Hence these are axial orbital, and here we have seen that the ligand approaches along the axis, due to which this orbital dx square minus y square and dz square will suffer greater repulsion from the ligands. This increases energy of dx square minus y square and dz square orbitals. Due to this repulsion of ligands, the energy of repulsion from the ligands, the energy of dx square and dz square orbital will be increased. The crystal field splitting in octahedral field is such that the total increase in energy of Eg orbital over the energy of hypothetical state is completely balanced by the total decrease in energy of T2G state. Here, the increase in energy of dx square minus y square and dz square orbital will be balanced by the decrease in energy of the dxy, dyz and dxz orbitals. This is the average energy level mentioned as barycenter, and the energy increases from this to this. The T2G orbital, which are having their lobes in between metal ligand bond axis, suffer less repulsion from the ligand. This lowers the energy of T2G orbital from the barycenter. We have seen that the orbital of T2G state lies in between the axis and not along the axis, due to which they are less affected by the ligands. Since ligands come along the axis, due to which they are very less affected as compared to the Eg orbitals, Eg state orbitals. This is why the energy of this T2G orbital is lower from the barycenter. The difference in energy between the Eg and T2G orbitals is denoted by 10 dq and delta O. Here O mentions for octahedral. The difference between this EG and here T2G, it will be total 10 dq or delta O. The Eg orbital are plus 0.6 delta O or plus 3 by 5 delta O or plus 6 dq above the barycenter, while the T2G orbitals are minus 0.4 delta O or minus 2.5 delta O or minus 4 dq from the below the barycenter. Here we can see that Eg orbitals are above the barycenter, and they are 0.06 delta O or plus 6 dq above from the barycenter, while the T2G state is below the barycenter and it is minus 0.4 delta O or minus 4 dq below from the barycenter. This is the crystal field splitting diagram for the d orbital in octahedral field. Octahedral field, here it is a non-spherical field, that is all the orbital of metal are not approached by the ligand symmetrically. So this is it for today. We will see next time. So till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.